Welcome back to Modern Jubilees. In today's video, we're looking at another comment from Turkish Girl. Turkish Girl has come back with a vengeance after our first 3 interaction videos. She sent hundreds, literally hundreds of comments over the course of many months, and I patiently watched and looked at them when I could. We got into another interaction and she came back with 3 questions. The first 2 were pretty simple to respond to. The third one is actually a great question, and it really points to where she's coming from, meaning she is, as we've discussed, indoctrinated by her family, her community, her mosque, whoever's doing this, whatever radical Turkish circles Turkish Girl runs in. She has a lot of anti-Zionist feeling, but what is it behind it is actually a lot of stuff, and we're working through that stuff. And so this question has some good meat that we're going to look at, and the question is about buts in the Torah, buts in the Bible, the word but in the Bible. And her idea, well, what she's been indoctrinated to believe is that the Christians and the Zionists have changed the translations of things so that, and it has to do with what they believe about Muhammad. She says the Christians and the Zionist ideology, which believes that prophets cannot be sent to anyone other than Jews, are using the word Aval to perform trickery and cunning, and this doesn't change its meaning. And there's this whole idea that God sends prophets only to the Jews. There's actually different types of prophets. And so there's a specific type of prophet that is very connected directly to God, like Moses. Different prophets have different levels of prophecy. Moses was the greatest prophet who ever lived, bar none, hands down. You know, that's in Jewish thought, but that's also just in reality when you study the text and you learn about the different characters in history. But this question that she has, she's been brought to believe that no actually means yes. The word aval actually means yes. So what we're doing here is we're searching the word aval. This says aval. And I'm going in chronological order in Sepharia so that I can actually talk about the places where it does use the word aval, so we can teach Turkish Girl what the word aval really means and how it's complicated. It doesn't mean yes or no. It actually is a little bit of a more complex word, like woe or awe. Like there are certain biblical words that are very difficult to translate, and aval biblically would fall there. Now, when you want to learn about a Hebrew letter or a Hebrew word, the way to do it, according to tradition, is you go to the first place in the Bible where this word is brought up. And the word aval happens to be brought up. The first place in the Bible is in this verse that she's been talking about here, where God says, Sarah, your wife, but Sarah, your wife, will bear you a son, and you'll call him Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant. And Turkish Girl is confused. Does this mean yes? Does this mean no? In modern Hebrew, it just means but. But in order to really understand what the word aval means, I want you to understand that the word aval is connected to the word Avel. It's spelled the same way. And actually, the next few times that this root word is mentioned in the Bible is in these contexts. So for example, Esav is saying in his heart, the days are coming where we're going to mourn my father. Avel is mourning, the days of mourning. You sit in avlut. If somebody in your immediate family passes away, you sit for 7 days in a low place. People come and visit, and it's 7 days of mourning. You don't shower, you wear the same clothes, you cover the mirrors. It's just a time of reflection. So Avel is connected inherently to the word for mourning. So that's why the word but is most usually translated aval these days. But it's a little bit of a complex word. It's like woe, but it's but. The next time also, Vayit Abel al beno yamim rabim, he mourned his son for many days. That's when Jacob thought that Joseph was killed by an animal, but really his brothers had sold him to slavery to the Ishmaelites, and he ends up being second to the Pharaoh in Egypt. The next time as well, the next time is, in the very next verse, I will go down to my son mourning into Sheol. Avel Sheola. I will go down to Sheol. I will go down to my grave mourning. The father is mourning his son, Joseph. So we're already looking at 3 more cases. Let's see. And here again. So now it's talking about the brothers and it's Aval. Aval is just best translated as but. It's not going to change the verse in any significant way. The word Avel, Aleph is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, Bet is the second, and Lamed represents the number 30. 2 at the very beginning, 1 right in the middle. Aval, Av is a father. Lamed is about learning and study, so the Lamed implies we're learning something from this. This is a head of learning, something to learn from. Aval, but. So Vayomer, God says to Sarah, his wife, let's go into it. So this whole thing is like the idea that the word aval here is being misused. It's not. Aval is like implying that there's some mourning, there's some sadness. It's a but. That really is the best translation into English for it. But it could be and, it could be yes, no, but it's not changing the meaning. So here, for example, Abraham falls on his face and they're laughing about the fact that they're going to have this child, Isaac, according to the angels. And Abram says to God, "Oh, that Ishmael may live before you." It's a blessing. It's an exclamation that he says about his son Ishmael. And God says, "But Sarah, your wife, yoledet lecha ben, is going to give you a son. She will indeed give you a son." Aval is like, it's translating it here as indeed. It's but. Aval means but. It's from the word mourning, Evel. So there is a slight negative connotation in terms of mourning. It's showing another side of things, just like being in mourning. We see death in front of us and we see another side of life. So Aval is showing us another side of things. This is ancient, pure, and true Hebrew, and I'm translating it as true as possible. It's not possible to translate it entirely, but I'm telling you about how it's a combination of words and letters and how it is the same word as Evel, mourning, and that is where it shows up. This is chronological order where this word shows up throughout the Bible, which starts with Genesis. Okay, so the first time is with Sarah. The next time, Evel, mourning. The next one, he mourned. The next one, I will go down to my grave mourning. The next one, Aval Ashemim Anachnu. So here it's where they're saying, but we are to blame. Genesis 42:21, check out, but we are to blame. Genesis 50, Evel, Shivat Yamim, 7 days, of mourning. Next time, Genesis 50. Yeah, this is all about mourning. It's all about mourning because that, and the next time, Vayitablu, and they mourned. Vayitablu, and they mourned in Numbers. Aval Hashitim, let's see, in the plains, Ad Avel Hashitim. Avel Hashitim, this is actually a marker in terms of a place that they're looking at. Evil Moshe, mourning of Moses. And so I don't know what examples Turkish Girl is trying to bring in here. She's talking from very late things. Samuel and Kings are a very, very long time later than Genesis. Chronicles, these are completely different time periods. Ezra, that's a completely different time period. If we're talking about these original ancient texts, you can't look at things that come thousands of years later and say, look how it was used here, and now go back and paint that onto the Bible. It's the opposite. We learn from the Torah the meanings of words, and the words have developed their meaning from there forward and not the other way around. So I hope that this answers your question, Turkish Girl. So the question 3, she's summing it up as by the word Aval, I conclude the God of Torah responded positively to Abraham's prayer about Ishmael. Yes, we've gone through this a few times. There is a blessing for Ishmael that he will be great. But Isaac will continue the covenant, the specific covenant that the Torah is all about. That's just what these verses are. These are the first places this word is used, and so you can't go over to Ezra, which is a very, very long time later. You can't go over to Ezra and learn from how it was used in those later texts, very late texts, relatively, and then dress them back onto the Genesis text. It's just not the direction it works. And again, these English Bible translations, they're always going to try to do their best, but I tried to do my best here too, because there is no direct translation, of course, and Hebrew is a very sacred language. I hope this answered your question, Turkish Girl, about the word Aval. Again, I don't know who's feeding you this stuff. I don't know where you're getting it stuff. This is good stuff. We're having a Bible study group right now. I think we've gotten to a more respectful place, and I really appreciate that. And I hope that this brings some light to the fact that people think that this Zionist ideology is so evil and cruel and changed things, and everything was changed so that it would reflect this hatred towards Ishmael or Muhammad. It's just not the case. It's just not the case. There isn't this hatred toward Muhammad or Ishmael, but it is very, very clear in the ancient texts that no, but Sarah, your wife shall bear you a son. Forget the no. I don't know what translation that is, but there's infinite translations. Don't worry about the translations. Aval is but, and it comes from it's very, very connected to the word Avel, which is all the places going forward that it's used. Mourning. It's a turn of events. It's looking at the other side of something. Okay? I hope this helped, and I hope you have a wonderful day. As for Ishmael, I've heard you. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful and multiply him greatly. He shall father 12 princes, and I will make him into a great nation. But I will establish my covenant with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear to you at this time next year. This is very important verses. This sums up the conversation. This sums up the understanding. There's a different covenant with the children of Israel than there is with other nations, including Ishmael and Ishmaelites. There's a covenant with them. God makes a promise about them. There is a type of covenant, a type of promise, a type of prophecy about his children. There are prophecies about many nations. So there is not hatred here, Janan, and wishing you the very best. That is your answer to question number 3. God bless you. God bless you all.